All right, we are live on social media and the webinar is open. Welcome everyone. Again, we're part of the 12th Annual Transforming Trauma Conference of the Gatehouse. We're going to start off with a land acknowledgement, and we acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge also that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Welcome everyone. This is Somatic Experiencing with Avdeep Bahra, and I know I won't do her justice in terms of her bio. She is a Somatic Experiencing practitioner in practice and a HeartMath. Did I get that right? HeartMath. I saw that on your bio and I was like, that's interesting. I've never heard that before. And I'm interested in hearing more about what does that mean? NLP certified coach, and practitioner, facilitator, all around mother, like so many cool things about you. So welcome Avdeep. Welcome everyone who's here. I'm going to pass it on to Avdeep to get us started.
Thank you, Maria. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks and welcome to everyone. So I'm going to hop into the presentation I have prepared today, which is, I'll do the screen share right here. And, we're good. Thank you. Yeah, so we're understanding trauma from a nervous system perspective today. And these are the learning intentions for today. I'm going to go over what is somatic experiencing, SE, a little, just the basics about the autonomic nervous system, where regulation is versus dysregulation, the idea of coherence. I'll go into that more. Trauma, the definition of trauma from a nervous system perspective, types of trauma and symptoms, and then also just resources that we can find within our own body. A little bit about Polyvagal Theory, and then there'll be just a few practices here and there through this hour with me. And by all means, you don't have to do practices if we're doing them. You can just listen in, but if you feel like you want to join and do the practices, please do. So maybe even just to begin, since we're all transitioning into this space, maybe just taking a moment to let yourself arrive just a little bit more. Meaning just even noticing maybe the points of contact for yourself on your chair or floor, wherever you might be, and just notice what it's like to become a little bit more present to that. Maybe the space that you're in and what's around you. Yeah, so just giving yourself that moment to arrive into this talk for this hour. And I do give people a heads up. I tend to go slow in SE because our body moves slower than our mind at times. So what is somatic experiencing? It's a body-oriented way to heal trauma and other stress disorders. It allows us to build capacity to feel difficult body sensations and suppressed emotions. It allows the release of trauma held in the nervous system, and thus it restores connection with oneself and with others. I'll go into why the nervous system is actually designed for human connection when I talk about polyvagal theory. And SE allows your body or a client's body to complete self-protective responses that may be keeping someone stuck in patterns. So self-protective responses such as fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Again, I'll go into these more. And the results of working this way with the body is just enhanced overall health, mental health, physical health, connection with others, confidence, ability to express oneself, and just overall sense of authenticity, just connected more to one's true self. So I'll move into explaining a little bit about the autonomic nervous system, which is in our body. So the central nervous system first is considered the brain and the spinal cord. The autonomic nervous system is considered peripheral, meaning it's just parts of the brainstem, the cranial nerves, which run from the brain to your body, and spinal nerves, so nerves from the spine. So the autonomic nervous system is really important because it runs so many systems in the body. It runs digestion, immune system, hormonal system, cardiac, respiratory systems, sleep. So it really has, it functions quite automatically, and it has a huge impact on our health because it runs all these different bodily systems. Now, this may be familiar to most people. I'll continue here. The idea of both the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So you'll have to excuse me as well. I'm losing my voice, so I'll take a drink every moment, every now and then. So in the autonomic nervous system, I'll start with there's what most of us know. There's two branches. There's the sympathetic nervous system, which is where the idea of fight and flight comes from. And there's the parasympathetic nervous system, which most commonly before was known as the rest digest cycle section. You can see in the image, there's the wave, which is the way our nervous system would function if it's regulated, meaning it would rise sympathetic nervous system, and then it would settle into parasympathetic nervous system, rest or digest. So an example of this cycle might be, for instance, well, even all of us joining this talk today, including myself, as we initially came on, including myself, there will be more of a sympathetic nervous system, we call it activation. So sort of this rise in my heart is racing a little bit, I'm feeling a little bit nervous, and I'm excited at the same time. Those are all emotions as well. And I'll speak of myself, my own nervous system. That's all sympathetic nervous system. Just that activation, that excitement, the little nervousness. For yourselves, you may have been coming from somewhere else into this Zoom room and trying to settle in. And that also is a bit of activation. But as we all land and arrive and settle into this talk, maybe again, notice our chairs that are supporting us, our space that we might be in. There's a sense of what the body, if it's regulated, it will come out of that activation cycle of sympathetic nervous system into this little bit of more rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. So it might mean like my heart is slowing down a little bit. My speech might slow down a little bit. Might start to feel a bit calmer, a bit more present. So that's regulation, an example of regulation in the body and the nervous system. So just, I'm going to give you all a moment just to kind of take that in. And you can even be curious for your own body. Did this cycle happen in this talk as you entered just in the last 10 minutes? Could even notice, what are you feeling right now? You're feeling a little bit of activation, meaning, a little bit of sympathetic nervous system, a little bit of charge, a little bit of a heart rate or jumpiness, or you're feeling a bit calm, settled, present. Yeah. So even I just take a moment to check into my own body. Where am I at? Yeah. So even just taking a moment sometimes is helpful to check into the body. So the idea of dysregulation means if there's been chronic stress or trauma, which I'll get into shortly, the nervous system doesn't do this wave, this cycle of activation, coming back into rest and digest. Instead, it may end up in hyperarousal, where you see anxiety, overwhelm, maybe digestive issues, or it ends up in hypoarousal, which is, it shows up as stuckness, numbness, depression. Some folks have both hyperarousal and hypoarousal. And that over the long term is where we can end up seeing also chronic health issues. I'll go more into the examples of types of health issues that might show up with a dysregulated nervous system. One of the things I do want to highlight in today's talk is that yes, trauma is held in the nervous system. However, we also have so much resilience and just wisdom in the nervous system and the body. So there's the idea in the nervous system that our body, our nervous system wants to be coherent. It wants to work together with all our bodily systems and even our behaviors. So I'm going to kind of weave through coherence and resilience and also trauma. So for now, in SE, coherence is the idea that, again, systems are working together. So I like these examples. So for instance, if you think of a time where you felt calm, you can imagine your heart rate would be pretty stable physiologically. Your breath would likely be fairly calm and steady. Your face might be soft. Internally, your immune system, your digestive system, it's all functioning. You feel, calm around others. You feel safe with others. That's the nervous system all working in coherence. Everything's aligned. Coherence can also be if you're feeling an emotion, for instance, I picked anger. If one is angry, coherence would mean their body and their behavior would be aligned. So for instance, if I'm angry, one would see a pretty upright posture. My muscles would be fairly tense. I might be speaking quite firmly. The way I make eye contact with someone will have a certain quality to it. The tone of my voice will have a certain quality to it. And those are all in alignment. So they're all working together, coherence. An example of incoherence with anger would be, for instance, if I'm angry, but my body language is like this, and my voice is very shallow, but inside I'm angry. That would be incoherence. Our nervous system wants to be in coherence, and this is something that SE works on as well. So I'm going to maybe offer a practice that we'll do together, and I might stop the screen share for this. So yeah, I'll stop the screen share, but I'll show this first. This exercise is called Most Like Yourself. And my invitation to you, again, you don't have to do this. You're welcome to just listen in. But if you'd like to do this, I invite you to think of a time where you felt most like yourself, or a time where you felt maybe less anxious, less pain, more calm. So I'll give you a moment I'll stop the screen share for a second. See. And yeah, so just again, thinking of a time where you felt most like yourself if you're doing this exercise, and see what comes to mind. It could be, yeah, could be a memory, a place, a thing. And as you do that, just notice what happens inside your body. It could be a sensation, could be an emotion. So I'm going to do it along with you. Thinking of a time where I felt most like myself, least anxious, most calm. Yeah, and you could close your eyes with this, you could leave them open. And just see, what do you notice in your face? Maybe in your body tension. Maybe in your breath. Yeah. Yeah, and if you don't like this exercise, you can always stop. But yeah, I can share. I'm noticing just a little bit of slowing down in my system. If anyone wants to chat and mention anything in the chat, they can. Maria, remind me you're going to be checking the chat. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I notice my system. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I notice my system has kind of slowed down a bit. I feel less nervous. Yeah, I get nervous too. Yeah, just thinking of most like myself. Yeah, and yeah, other things can show up. It doesn't always bring pleasant sensations for some of us. You might notice discomfort as well because we are slowing down. So yeah, this is all somatic awareness, awareness of the body. It's always telling us stuff. But yeah, I will continue with the screen share for now. And I appreciate any shares that came through. See. Okay, so I'll move into the definition of trauma from an SE lens. So in somatic experiencing, we define, or trauma is defined as anything that feels like it's happening at a pace that is too much, too fast, too soon, and with a lack of support. So Peter Levine is the creator of SE, and he says, trauma is not what happens to us, but what we hold inside in the absence of an empathetic witness. So just, reading that definition of trauma, you could, if you want, we'll just spend like a minute here, not long, pick a small experience that comes to mind. And maybe don't even pick a trauma, pick a little tiny stress that happened today. It could be, I don't know, I love tea. I ran out of tea bags. So pick something tiny that happened today, maybe, or yesterday. And just touch into the experience and notice what happens in your body. And if that feels like it's already overwhelming to think about that little stress or that tiny trauma, then just come out back, maybe into your space, make some contact with your chair. If you have something that you enjoy with you right now, notice that. Yeah. So, yeah. And once you feel a bit more settled again, you can go back to that tiny, 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 tiny stressful experience from today. So for me, for instance, my tea bags were run out. And notice again what happens. So I instantly notice a tightening that happens right here. Yeah, and a bit of frustration, a bit of an emotion shows up too. So again, if you're doing this along with me, you can come out of your stressful experience and maybe just notice your space again. Is there something in your space you like? You can allow your eyes to wander around. Yeah, and see how your body responds to that. Yeah. Sometimes just even the definition of trauma in this way can be activating for your body. Types of trauma, there's a list with a couple of slides on this. Just chronic stress from day-to-day life, obviously. Suppressed emotions is also a type of trauma or a chronic stress that we really, really undermine. HeartMath, which is a modality that connects a lot to the power of the heart and the energetics of the heart. They've done a lot of research and they've found that emotions are actually one of the biggest unnecessary drain on our physiology. So yeah, so suppressing emotions, whether it's joy, whether it's excitement, whether it's grief, whether it's anger, and many folks aren't even aware of the suppression of emotion because many have just an upbringing of don't feel your emotions, don't show your emotions. They're still held in there and they are causing, really wreaking havoc on the internal physiology. Other types of traumas, obviously, are car accidents, falls, injury, hospitalizations, medical procedures, birth. Hearing of a medical diagnosis can be traumatic as well. Natural disasters, any kind of loss. So again, it's going back to that definition of anything that feels like it's too much, too fast, too soon, and without a lack of sufficient support. And I want to say, for those of you here listening and watching and reading, if you're finding this, even me listing these types of traumas is activating for you, meaning you're noticing maybe, oh, my heart's starting to race, or I'm feeling more pain, or I'm having a hard time focusing, paying attention to Avdeep, then take a moment and honor your body and even just mute me if you need and take your eyes away from the screen. Because even just hearing about these things, and if anyone has a history of these things, it can be activating. So by all means, really take care of yourself. And if you need, just come back into your own space, like look into your space, see something that's supportive. Maybe make contact with your seat or your chair or bed or floor and notice what it's like to do that as you listen to me as well. So please do take care of yourself. Other types of trauma, abuse, COVID-19 really has been a huge stressor and a type of trauma on us. In addition, the isolation that we've experienced during COVID. again, too much, too fast, too soon, with a lack of support and connection from others. Immigration, racial trauma, identity trauma, vicarious trauma through your work in helping other people. Childhood attachment issues, meaning early trauma, so pre-verbal, it could be before one has even language. Even in utero, before birth, if a parent or caregivers are experiencing stress, the baby's going to feel the stress. So trauma can also be impacting a fetus inside before birth as well. Again, if you're finding this overwhelming, or again, nervous system wise, your sympathetic nervous system is like, whoa, this is too much, I'm checking out, or I can't pay attention, please, please, please do take care of yourself and mute me, turn off the video. Well, here we are going to access resource if any of you are feeling activated. This is, again, a way to support your nervous system as well. Like I said earlier on, your nervous system really is designed for health. Yes, it holds trauma and stress, and it holds a lot of resilience. And I really, really want to highlight that today as well. So in somatic experiencing in SE, we talk about resources. And a resource is anything that feels pleasant, grounding, or okay sensations in the body. Could be okay emotions as well. So it's anything that makes you feel safe, comfortable, and that elicits a relaxation response. So there can be two types of resources. There can be internal, meaning in your mind. So again, it could be a memory of a pleasant place or a fun time. It could be imaginary. With some of my clients, imagination is such a brilliant way to bring in resource. I will welcome clients to bring in, anything they believe that's supportive, and people will bring in a tree, they'll bring in, I don't know, spirit animals, all kinds of things. So internal can be thoughts as well. I am safe, I am confident, I am loved, I am accepted. It can be any of those thoughts or beliefs. External resources can be obviously anything on the outside. So, even my cup of tea here can be an external resource. I have a green plant there, that's an external resource. Places, hobbies, pets, essential oils, favorite possessions, they can all be grounding and pleasant and supportive. So let's take a moment to, again, you don't have to do this. If you'd like to go along with this practice, then by all means, join me. Bring to mind either an internal or an external resource that sort of arises for you. I'll give you a minute or so. So bringing something to mind that helps you feel comfortable, somewhat safe or present. Something that is grounding for you. And as you do that, notice what happens either in your body as a sensation or maybe an emotion. as you connect to your resource. And if there's anything you want to pop in the chat, you're welcome to do that. If you'd like to share your experiences. And I'm doing this exercise with you, bringing a resource to mind. And I'm noticing what happens in my body, inviting you to do the same. Yeah. So again, it may not necessarily lead to settling or grounding or a relaxation response. Sometimes it can elicit something that's more uncomfortable. And if you don't want to go there, just again, don't have to do this practice. If you are feeling a bit of a groundedness or a settling as you connect to your resource, notice again, how's your body responding? Maybe your breath, maybe body tension, maybe your face, maybe your level of attention or focus. How is that shifting? Do you feel more aware of your body or less aware as you connect to your resource? Uh-huh. So I know I can share for me, I can feel I'm slowing down again. My breath, I've taken a deeper breath a few times. Yeah. So again, that's another practice you can use, just accessing your resources. I will continue here. So when I work with clients in SE and with the nervous system, and the word somatic experiencing, soma means body, so experiencing the body, there are actually 5 channels of how one might experience the body. Sensation is one. So again, it could be, for instance, the pressure I feel beneath my legs on my chair, that sensation. It could be the sensation of coolness on my arms. Could be the sensation of my own hand on my arm. Image would be just like the practice we did earlier, if you were imagining something as a resource. So for instance, a tree. That's another avenue of experience for the body, an image. Then you have behavior, which could be anything that's observable. So for example, actually, if anyone's feeling like they're fading again or having a hard time paying attention, a behavior could be a body movement. So if you're feeling, oh, having a hard time paying attention, I'm not focused, you might want to even just move in your chair. Or if you're standing, just rock side to side. So movement is another way to access resource through the body. So I'm moving because it's helping me. And affect is another way to experience the body, meaning emotion. So emotion can be a resource. So if I smile, or if I feel happy, a smile comes on. Or if I imagine a time where I was happy, or remember a time. Trauma can also show up through these different channels. We call it SIBAM. M is meaning, so thoughts or beliefs, anything we think about. So again, SIBAM is the avenues of experience in SE work, and they can be accessing resource, but also traumatic experiences held in the body through a sensation, an image, behavior, affect, emotions, or meaning. Okay, so I'm going to continue here, keeping track of time as well. So I did actually go over this earlier about dysregulation in the nervous system. The idea that if we're not doing this regulation in the autonomic nervous system of sympathetic activation, settling, rising, settling, over minutes, over days, over hours, and our system is dysregulated, meaning it's staying up in hyperarousal or down in hypoarousal, or in both, this is where it's like having, you think of a car, the accelerator is pressed with hyperarousal and the brake is pressed with hypoarousal. So imagine the wear and tear in a car if you're driving with both the accelerator and the brake pressed on at the same time. That's an example of hyperarousal, hypoarousal. And that over time on the body creates wear and tear as well. That's when one has a dysregulated nervous system, and you might see these things as symptoms of trauma. So you might see anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, a lot of autoimmune conditions, IBS, thyroid issues. Many of these autoimmune conditions, they are stemming from a dysregulated nervous system. And somatic symptoms as well. So those are, the symptoms that, people go to doctors and get all kinds of tests and see specialists and are told there's nothing wrong with you. There's no, you have no diagnosis. Symptoms of trauma can also show up, like I said, chronic health issues, diabetes, asthma, hypertension. If you look into the adverse childhood experiences study, a pretty extensive study, it makes the connection between childhood traumas and chronic health issues that start later on in life. So I'm not going to go into that today, but if you're curious, I would definitely suggest taking a peek at that. Trauma also shows up in relationships and how we behave, and things like self-worth issues, self-esteem issues. Perfectionism is a big one, people-pleasing, unhealthy boundaries, repeating patterns in relationships, addictions, etc. These are all also often underlying is trauma that's not been processed, not been explored, not been felt. Emotions that are not felt really impacts how we behave and how we relate to one another as well. Continue here. Okay. So I actually, it's synchronistic, Maria, that you were curious about HeartMath, because I planned one of the practices to be a HeartMath practice today before I go into Polyvagal Theory. So for this practice, again, you don't have to do it, but if you feel like doing this, this comes from HeartMath and it's called heart-focused breathing. So the invitation for this, I'll do it with you, is you can close your eyes, and if you wish, if that feels okay for you, or even just look downwards. And I like to put my hand on my heart. You don't have to. So beginning by just bringing your attention to the area of your heart and imagining that your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or your chest area. So again, just bringing your focus, your attention to the area of your heart. Imagining your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or your chest area. It's almost like a visualization. Seeing your breath flowing in and out of your heart. as you keep your attention, your focus on the area of your heart. And just continuing that for about a minute. Yeah, keeping your focus if the mind wanders, which is very normal and okay, no judgments. Simply bringing your focus back to the area of your heart or the chest. Imagining your breath is flowing in and out of the heart or the chest area. That's it. Again, focus on the heart, imagining the breath going in and out of the heart. And because this is SE, just notice what's happening inside your body. Are you feeling calmer, more agitated? It could be anything. There's no wrong or right. Just noticing, tracking body sensations, tracking your emotion, feelings. Again, you're bringing awareness to the different channels of experience in your body. Yeah, and if you haven't opened your eyes, you can gently open your eyes if they were closed. You can continue to stay connected to your heart and imagining the breath flowing in and out, even as you continue to listen. And you can notice what's happening. Is there a sensation? Is there an image? Is there a behavior? Are you starting to rock maybe? Are you starting to have an emotion, a feeling? Is there a thought or a meaning that's arising? Yeah, so that's just another practice. And the last part of my presentation, my talk today is Polyvagal Theory. So this is based on the theory by Stephen Porges and the idea that there are more than two branches in the nervous system, in the autonomic nervous system. It's based polyvagal, so vagus nerve is what this theory is based on. The vagus nerve, we have 12 nerves from the brain that feed our body. The vagus nerve is the 10th one, and it comes from the back of the brain, the brainstem. And it travels to many parts of the body. Now we'll get into that. So the vagus nerve is something that we, and polyvagal theory is really what SE is rooted in, understanding the physiology of the vagus nerve and polyvagal theory. So it's called the wanderer, the vagus nerve, because it's very long and it has many branches. Again, it regulates body functions, it maintains homeostasis, and it really, really is essential in supporting human connection and feelings of safety. And I'll get into that shortly. There is two branches of the vagus nerve. So this nerve comes from the brain. There's the ventral, simply meaning it's coming from the front of the brain stem, and dorsal meaning it's coming from the back. So there are just two branches to keep in mind for now. And I'm going to flush out a few more details about these two branches. So the ventral vagus nerve, which is the one, ventral meaning from the front of the brainstem, it's part of the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you remember that cycle, it's part of the rest digest cycle, the ventral vagus nerve. And it's the ventral vagus nerve which supports social and human connection. The ventral vagus nerve, it feeds, you think of diaphragm, which is like just below the lungs. The ventral nerve, vagus nerve, feeds diaphragm up. So it feeds my heart, lungs, throat, into my face, my eyes, facial muscles. And our face, our eyes, our smile is how we connect with one another. So when our ventral vagus nerve is functioning well, we will feel more connected to one another. We will feel safe with one another. We'll be able to make eye contact. We'll be able to be present with one another. And the ventral vagus nerve develops really early on in life. And it's what, as human beings, we rely on when there is trauma or stress. So if something happens that's stressful all of a sudden for me, I'm going to first look, as a human being, any of us will look for social connection. That's what the ventral vagus nerve is designed for. If I don't find social connection or safety, I might go into fight or flight. So say, for example, someone knocks on my door and it sounds very threatening. First, I'm going to look for help in my home or my space. If I don't find that, the next part of my system is like, okay, I need to get out of here, or I need to fight if I felt I could fight. And say I felt like I couldn't do either of these, this is where freeze might happen. And this, so I'll slow down here because this is an important piece to understand. The dorsal vagus nerve, it is part of the parasympathetic nervous system also. So of that wave from early on, it is part of parasympathetic nervous system. However, it controls both rest and digest and freeze. So this is a key distinction in polyvagal theory. The idea that the dorsal vagus nerve, which feeds diaphragm down, so into digestive system, everything below the diaphragm, that's what dorsal vagus nerve feeds. I have more slides that have this written down, so maybe I'll scroll there just to recap, because I know this can be a lot and very important. So vagus nerve, ventral vagus, again, it's for social connection. Like I said, feeds the face muscles of your face, throat, heart, lungs. Sympathetic nervous system, and initiates that fight flight response, includes emotions, includes behavior, speaking up, shouting for help, walking, running away, pushing away, literally fighting or fleeing. And this is the dorsal vagus. Again, it is part of the parasympathetic nervous system. What we call low tone dorsal means rest and digest. Digestion is working, the nerve below my diaphragm is feeding my digestive organs, digesting my food. However, it's called high tone dorsal, is when there's freeze, and that's where you see things like shutdown, immobilization, fear, stuckness, helplessness, hopelessness, digestive issues, depressive feelings, or behaviors. So this is a key distinction in polyvagal theory and something I really educate clients about. And we also get familiar with, are you genuinely in rest, digest, or is this sort of a dissociative free state? So helping clients and folks discern between the two is really, really, really important from a felt somatic sense. Yeah, I'll take a pause there. I'm just gonna let the information even just land for everybody. And I just have a couple more slides, and then there'll be time if there's any comments or questions. Maybe I'll go back to this slide as well. That highlights just everything I spoke about in terms of polyvagal theory. And we're never just on or off when it comes to these different states. So for instance, even in this moment, I can feel very connected to this presentation. I know there's people present here listening. So I can have, my ventral is on, and I can also have a bit of activation, fight, flight, sympathetic, a little bit of nervousness that's still there. And my digestion can still be working too. And there might also be a little bit of freeze. So they can happen, they don't have to be happening in isolation. I do want to, before questions or comments or shares, I want to end with maybe experiencing more of what ventral might feel like. So maybe we'll spend a few moments to, do another exercise. Um, so there was a lot of information there. You can just even take all that information and imagine putting it off to the side for a moment. There might be curiosities, ponderings. But coming to this image for now, or even the words, what does ventral feel like? So maybe thinking of a time, this is again bringing a resource to mind, an internal resource. If you think of a time where you felt genuinely connected with someone, you felt safe with them, you felt comfortable with them. For some, it could be an external resource. So pets are often a great way to get into a ventral state. So if you have a pet nearby you, if any of you are at home, or if your pet's not with you, you can imagine your pet. And notice what happens in your body as you connect to this resource of remembering what it's like to feel connected to someone in a safe way, in a pleasant way, in a comfortable way. And see what happens for you. Again, you don't have to do this practice. Yeah, again, if your mind wanders or there's other things coming to mind, coming back to that experience of where you felt connected to someone or something, pet, plant. And what was it like to make that eye contact? Or maybe there was a touch or hug that was welcoming for you both. Or maybe it was just the distance that you were both at that felt pleasant. And notice what happens inside your body as you connect to this. What happens in your face as you connect to this? Is there a softening? Is there tension? Is there a smile? No smile? What happens in your shoulders or your breath or your heart rate as you think about this time where you are more in the state of connection with another person or being? Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and if you want, you can share your experiences in the chat. And yeah, otherwise I'm pretty much done. A couple of pages for a summary. So both resilience and trauma are held in your nervous system. Trauma is anything that feels too much, too fast, too soon, with inadequate support. The body truly knows how to heal when supported in the right way. The nervous system wants to be regulated. That's what it knows. And I went over Polyvagal Theory, Ventral vagus, which is about social connection. I see you, I hear you, I feel your presence. And dorsal vagus is rest, digest, or freeze and dissociation. And we did a few practices today. So finding points of contact, most like yourself, resources, heart-focused breathing, and finding and feeling ventral. So that's it, yeah. I'm curious if there's questions, thoughts, shares, and I will stop this. There we go. Is that good?
That's excellent, Avdeep. Thank you so much. There is a question here from one of our participants.
Mhm.
How can you tell when you're in a dissociative state? Can changing to ventral take you out of dissociative state?
Okay, great question. I'll go backwards in that question. Yes, connecting to ventral can help you come out of a dissociative state. And I'll say, if there's been trauma in relationship, then connecting with a person can also heighten dissociation. So it can go either way. If it's someone you feel safe with and present, then yeah, you can definitely come out of dissociation. And the question about how do you notice dissociation, it's such a great question. And people experience it differently. For some, it's, a physical numbness, just feeling I can't feel any sensations. For some, it's that, I can't really pay attention anymore. I'm not hearing what's being said. There's many different ways. Yeah, I could list so many, but it's a great question. And I think you just even asking that question, the person who asked and whoever else is wondering, you'll just start to notice it more as well. Yeah. Mhm. You're welcome. Some of the comments. I hope that answers the question.
Just give it another minute if anyone else has questions, and I'm going to check our social media while we're receiving comments. And if you want to just post a statement of gratitude for Avdeep, that's also welcome.
Yeah, and I appreciate you all being here and listening and practicing or choosing to not practice if that honored yourself. So yeah. Oh, can I put the contact info up? Should I pop that up again? Or are you going to share that afterwards anyway?
Yep, it's available. So the video is available on our Facebook page. If you go to our Facebook page, I will post the link in the chat. If you click on that, you should be able to see this video after the fact. Pause, rewind, watch again, and please do share it on your social media as well. All right. Thank you everyone for being here today. If you joined us from the webinar, thank you so much, Avdeep, for sharing all that you've shared today. I did post your website. It's innerhealing.ca. Please go there and connect with Avdeep if you would like to do so after this presentation. And feel free to share that link on your social media as well. It also helps to promote the wonderful work that Avdeep is doing. Thank you again, Avdeep, on behalf of the Gatehouse, and thanks everyone for being here today.
Thank you. Take care.